Hi everyone, and welcome to SNG Weekly, and this being the week of August the 25th, we are going to get lots done. Basically, this is going to be a mold week. Now, I have 4 pointed ears, or 2 sets of pointed ears that I sculpted for Tammy Klein and Glenn Campbell. I have the 2 cowls that I sculpted, and they're out of water-based clay, and they've got to be molded right away. And those were done, of course, for Belle and for myself. And we're going to be doing the molds of those. And I'm going to show you every step of the way how that's done. We're also going to finish up the sculpture for our Martian, for Martian's Attack SNG, our short film. We got funded off of Rocket Hub. For those of you who are new and say, what film, what are you talking about? The same thing that we built the prop for. We will be making a mold of that as well, and you're going to see how that gets done this week. So you're going to learn a lot about molds, and with any luck, we'll be pouring a Batman cowl by the end of the week. Can't wait to see one of those. You'll probably see that next week because it'll be dry over the weekend. And let's see. Well, in the future, just to give you a little inkling of what's coming next week, we're going to start the Martian spacecraft too, which is going to be very interesting because since we have changed this from being Mars Attacks to Martians Attacks, this is truly our vision now. The Martians look like the guys in the cards kind of, but they're totally different. They're not skull faces anymore, and either is their weaponry and props. We're going to be doing the gun, which looks very steampunk, but most fun of all, we're going to be doing their spacecraft, which is look nothing like what's in the cards. Basically, it's going to look like the Nautilus from 20,000 Leagues, except a spaceship. So stay tuned. Let's get working. As you can see, we've got the sculpture done, and I mean it's pretty good. It was done very, very quickly, but it's going to be nice. It's a Batman cowl after all. It's not supposed to be an old age makeup or something like that. I've done a lot of stuff cleaning up the eye orbits and things like that, and I'm still seeing, just as always, before you begin doing something like this, you're going to find stuff you don't like. This orbit here isn't like this orbit over here. So I'm going to grab a little bit of clay. You gotta love water-based clay because it's, well, on some levels you gotta love it. Other levels you don't. If you saw my kitchen of the shop right now, you'd know what I was talking about. Because no matter how hard you try to be good with this stuff, it's messy. It's like, you know, mud and clay and water and that's better right away. Okay, they'll never get me. What I need to do is, I mean, you could just make the mold here, and you could, you know, Vaseline this up, and, you know, chances are you're going to get the Ultra Cowl, or what in this case that's what we use is Ultra Cowl, locked in here. Even if it's greased up, you could get some problems. So what I like to do is, just like this is a prosthetic, is I go away, I go and put the layup clay in here, and I get right close up to the edges here. This will release a lot of surface tension, save your life mass, save chipping along these edges here on the mold, and it just makes it a better experience. Okay, so I'm basically showing you all this by hand. I'm going to do the eyes too, just a little bit, being very careful not to bang into the rest of the sculpture, but just get that in there. We'll get there. This is a long take on this video. I probably will cut it several times. Now, I'm going to go in here and just sort of get rid of this. Alright, I think I've mumbled enough about all this, and I'm going to come back after lunch and we will have fun with mold making and plaster and messes. Okay? Okay. First, what I want to do is put some crystal clear cowl on this. What this does is kind of make a barrier between the clay and your mold. so that you don't have a lot of sticking. It makes it easier to clean out the mold once you take it apart. Now, not everybody does this, but I like to. I forget who showed me how to do this, but they did. It also seals the clay in so it doesn't dry out as fast, too. I think I got enough on there. You got the idea. I'm getting my fancy homemade clay cutter here, which is basically wire like this. And what I'm going to do is, well, let's see. That's why it helps to have the board in there. If you have the board in there, then you can cut a little bit better. Even, but all I'm going to do here is, I know where my ears are, so I'm going to come forward of them. And the reason I'm going so far forward, again, is to avoid undercuts. And you get the idea, you start getting a separation. We're going to build stone against the side. And what I'm going to do here is cut this and sort of match the curve of that there, within reason. Mostly not. But that's what's great about clay. You can sort of push it down like that. And then like that. You gotta be careful because these ears will move on you. Alright. And I'm gonna cut the video here because what you're going to watch me do is the same thing all the way around until I come all the way around the side, and then we're going to do some blocking down here and make the mold. What you're seeing here is a very, very slight little trench here that goes all the way around. And what this does is it is a key. And you probably think, well, why not make some really round keys or some square keys, something like that? Well, this is going to be for pouring latex into. And so if I'm going to pour latex into this, something I learned at Don Post was to put these kind of keys in with the trenches, because what would happen, and I think the guy who used to pour the rubber there taught me about this, is that rubber, when it starts to leak, if you just have the round keys, even if your wall is really flat, if there's any debris in there at all or anything like that, the rubber can leak out a little bit through the cracks, the separation between the two halves. What this does is it gets about so far into this curve and starts to gel up before it can even go out to the outside surface of the two mold halves, in this case 3. So we put these kind of keys in here. They're really easy to do. You just make a little trench. You can do it with your finger. You can do it with a tool. I used a tool here. And this is a very simple mold. This mold does not have to be very complicated because it is a latex mold. It's for pouring up a mask, which we're going to tool down and remove the seams on and everything. So this is more than adequate. One of the things that's really beneficial about using the Krylon on this is that by sealing off the clay, when I did the clay work up here, I didn't smear into the actual sculpture. It separates the two apart. So now I'm ready to put another coat of Krylon on there, and the reason I want to do that is because I want to make this here easier to separate as well from my mold. And that just makes a little barrier there, and stuff will peel off there. Get it? Okay. So next step is going to be to mix up some ultra-cowl and get some, I'll go cut my burlap for reinforcements and start working on this. So I've got some burlap here. I like to use this stuff. Sisal fiber works good. It used to be called hemp fiber, but we use the sisal. This fiber, the burlap, which you can get just about anywhere. Even Joann's carries it. We've been very careful to remember to use our zip, which is basically a Vaseline pattern spray mold release. I also use some I think I'm hot and bothered right now. I used some actual Vaseline as well, just to make darn sure then I'm clear there. And I've got our ultra-cowl mixed up here. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to mist this. You can see how it's beating up, even on the clay here. That's because of the krylon. Now the reason I'm doing this is because when I take my pre-soaked brush, which I forgot to pre-soak. By the way, the burlap is also pre-soaked because you don't want to mix it with Egyptian, which is a exothermic process, and have this absorb the water out of it very quickly because it's dry. It will make the ultra-cowl, the gypsum, go off much faster. Now this stuff's a little thick, but not too bad. We're going to start putting it on, and what I do is very carefully brush it. You see how it's really just sort of sliding off everything. You want that. You don't want it to be sticking to the clay. Actually, because it's kind of warm and everything's kind of warmish, it's going off kind of fast. I'm surprised because ultra-cowl is pretty slow on the go going off, but I'll tell you something about ultra-cowl. If you mix it kind of thick like I did, the thicker it is, the quicker it goes off. Now this is a good first splash coat, and I think I probably mixed up too much ultra-cowl, which is upsetting because it's not cheap. It used to be. It's like everything, but not anymore. So basically, we're going to get this splash coat on like this. It's going to start to set up. When it starts to set up, before it goes all the way off, we're going to take and put another batch on with the burlap to reinforce it. And that'll be our first half of our roll. We'll come back and look at this in a minute. Now I got to turn off the camera without getting plaster all over it. As you can see, this is getting hard already. So we got to get that next coat on, and that next coat's with the burlap. I'm going to put this in this nice piss water, and you don't want your ultra-cowl to be real thick because you want this stuff to lay on very well. And we just want to do a nice coat on this to make it strong. You don't need a lot, just enough. Because really one layer of this stuff makes good rebarb. And as it is, the stuff still is going to speed up the drying time on this, no matter what you do, because it just loves to absorb the water out of the ultra-cowl. A lot messier than I could ever hope to be. So this is going to make this really strong. In fact, I don't think we need anything more on this layer here than what I've got now. So, and thing is to let this kind of set up a little bit, puts a facing coat on the top of it. And there you are. We've got the first side, and of course it's a little lumpy and bumpy, but that's fine. And we gotta, of course, make it, you know, once we separate the two sides, we clean up with a rasp the edges on it. Which is to say, you know, we clean up all this stuff here. In fact, this will get cleaned up before I even do the next side. I like to work on it this way. I'm making sure it's still in frame. It is. Got some spill over the back, nothing really bad, but you'll see how easy the clay comes away. You see those stringy things? That's the krylon. But it really, look how clean that comes off, huh? And that's what you want. Next up, we've got this side laid up, same deal. We got the little key in there, which is just basically that trench. These blocks of clay here are so that there is a cavity there between the two parts that I could put a bar in there, a thick screwdriver or something like that, to pop the two sides apart should I need to. Usually all I have to do is just tap on it with a hammer, and this, the surface tension and the amount of grease that's on here will release it. But just in case, we're going to do that and have those. Also, it comes in real handy after the mold's made if you have something in there that you want to use to pry it apart with. So what we're going to do now is mix up some more ultra-cowl, and we'll be right back with that. first splash coat. You should have kept talking to me, Rob, because although now I can make myself some really nice Vulcan ears or something down the road, or werewolf ears or anything like that, my ears are sticking out. So I had to sculpt the cowl to accommodate my ears out there the way they normally sit. And therefore the cowl's kind of wide on the sides, which I don't like. Not much I can do about that, but the big problem is, of course, is I had to sculpt it so close to the ears, because I didn't want it way the hell wide there, that I could lock up on them, break them off, hurt the mold, any number of things. So again, this is why I had to do what I did in sculpting it so thin there. And if I had done a two-piece mold and it wasn't exactly on the parting edge perfectly, I would have had trouble getting the two halves off. And sometimes you do anyway. When you do a three-piece mold like this, something sculpted close to the head, not some big old giant mass with lots of material, clay, you run the risk of doing that. And for the want of another seam you can easily get rid of, you end up messing up your mold. So we'll come back to this in a little while. We are on the backup alternate camera because Mary put away the other camera. We're hopefully going to leave soon. And I'm looking at this and saying, okay, it's, well, we got this side. We got this side. And this side is the splash coat, and it's setting up. So we are good to go ahead and put burlap on this. Let's do that. We are just waiting for that color to match this color, and we are then ready to open this mold up. We're opening it. Here we go. Remember those pry holes? First I did this. I went around like this. And what that does is it sends a shock in there. When you hold your hand over the seam, you can feel it leaping away from itself. It kind of just wants to open. So we're going to... Now, I don't know why this is all coming off in one piece, because it really shouldn't. It's way over the edge. I forgot to put a pry bar there, so get this piece off first. There, that's one side. Clean out clay here. See how beautifully the clay removed? This part, oh, and it broke the ear. Anyway, but it's nothing I can't fix. It's a clean break. That will go back on because we got to do Vulcan ears on me. See? Goes right back, no problem. Okay, now we gotta get this part out. But first, let's get rid of this clay. There it goes. There it goes. Come off. I didn't wreck the life mass, and it looks like the sculpture's all intact. I mean, the details all good in there. Time to get out the wooden tools, because some of it did stick. Clay. Despite all my best efforts, so it wouldn't do that. Now what I need is to go outside and find a hose this mold out. I just realized, Mary, we don't have a hose here.
Yes, we do.
We do?
Yeah, in that box over there.
Oh.
Remember, we filled the swimming pool with it.
That's true. This will be the fastest way to clean it out. There it goes. Nose is good. No bubbles. No bubbles there. No bubbles there. No bubbles there. No bubbles there. Rosie, you having a good time? we have a really good mold. Except for that one little dinkus maninkus over there, we are good to go. So, life mask survived. Mold has to be cleaned up. All this stuff has to be chipped off. All this stuff down here has to be chipped off. We got to clean up the edges and stuff, grind them off, make it all nice. But the part that counts the most is the inside, and you can see the seams are very clean and very nice. There's no step or anything, so this is going to make a really nice Batman cowl. I got a little bit of patching to do, but not much. I mean, really, it's quite good. So I'm very, very pleased. It's a good place to stop for today. So back to the ears today. What I've done so far with Tammy's ears here, you can see I've added all this, which is probably very confusing to your eye. What is this? Why did you do this? What is this for? This is what we call the overflow, because you want to have a little bit of relief from the pressure that builds up inside the actual ear sculpture itself, so that it flows evenly, the excess in and out of the mold. Now here I happen to have a mold right here to show you what I mean. This little piece of silicone here is all that gets made around the ear. You can see these vents here, and what that does is allow for, I pour in the material in here, and it just kind of, you know, fills up the whole cavity, and then I take this ear and I slide the ear in there, and what that does is create some pressure and cause it to squirt out here. It has some place to run off to, so that this can close very, very tight, and we get a nice blender edge. This is what we're going for. This is what really helps, you being able to see this and understand that's what we're trying to do. So, and we're going to end up with a mold just like this, except on 2 pairs of ears. So what I'm doing now is adding the overflow, which I've already done on Tammy's, and now I'm going to do it on this one. This is Glenn Campbell's Vulcan ears. We're going to make him up as a Vulcan. And you guys doing fan Star Trek shows ought to think about casting both Glenn Campbell, very well known for his visual effects work, and Tammy Klein, a very talented actress. We are back on B camera since we're upstairs. Well, Mary works on the cowl. I don't want her to take time out to do this, but you can see what I've done here. I've made these little clay walls around this, and it encapsulates just the right amount of silicone that I want to use, which is not much, and I'm going to pour silicone into there. And there is some unevenness to the walls. They can very easily corrected once the clay comes off. If the silicone is hard, I just basically slice it so that, anyway, it just ends up fitting really nice like that. So we're going to pour the silicone next. As you can see, I am getting ready to do this. See that? That is RTV silicone 1065 from BermanINC.com. It's really good stuff. I like it better than GI 1000. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to, oh shoot, I forgot something. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to put it into these cavities, which I showed you a second ago, and fill them up with silicone. And the reason I'm doing it like this is I'm hoping to crush the bubbles that are in this stuff from not being in a vacuum chamber, because it's so thin, the stream. And since I have lots of working time, I don't have to worry about rushing it. And we're going to do this all the way around until all these are filled and fairly level. And then they sit till tomorrow. Or maybe later today, but I don't think they're going to go off that quickly. And then we'll do the ultra cowl, this part, which is quite easy. We're just going to put styrene around it and let her rip. back on B camera, you can see that these have all been poured. Just getting some bubbles. They keep floating up. I keep agitating it to hopefully get any of the bubbles out of there that might be in there. But generally speaking, I don't get them. They all float up, so we should be fine there. And this is what we're going for. One more time, so you can just beat it into your heads. This is what I'm doing. Same old deal. We're going to remember those pieces I said you could save the styrene from when we made the back plates. Well, that's what I'm using again, and I'm finding the original indentation there. See, I'm doing this backwards. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put it like that because there's a little indentation there from where it originally was overlapped. Had to get my hand free, but you get the idea. I now have my nice little dams made, and they fit pretty tight. This one I don't like the way it leans inwards. I'll make the mold look a little on the strange side, so we're going to redo it. But what I'm going to do next, of course, is I'm going to fill these up with Ultra Cowl and walk away, and tomorrow we've got some really nice ear molds. Now everything's nice and Vaselined up inside, and we got a nice little mixture of Ultra Cowl, and we're just going to pour that in there like so, all the way up to the top. And since I'm out of buckets, I'm going to have to do this a few times. I know that was blocking camera. And that's that. I mean, that's really all there is to that step. I'm going to keep pouring this stuff. Okay, that's good. I'm going to do this one for the lens. Okay, we could use just one little bit more mixture, and we'll get the last one. There they are. They're done. All we got to do is crack them open tomorrow, and really, one of them already started to open on me. They're that easier to open. You can see it wiggling. So, and it's kind of like floating up almost. So what I'm going to do, just to make sure that we don't have anything going wrong, is I'm going to stack these on top of each other, because that should go down a little bit more. Interesting. I got that kind of compression going on. It probably has to do from expansion and contraction. But these are Glenn's, these are Tammy's. We're going to open these tomorrow. You can see where that clay overflows to the outside. This side it's covered up, but after we break this open, you'll be able to see it. We'll clean it off. And that's our Vulcan ear molds. All that has to be done is clean them out, and then we're going to start running the skin flex, and I'll show you how that's done too. In fact, I'll show you tomorrow how these open up. But I'm very pleased to have the Batman cowls done, which are over there. Both those molds are done, and all these molds are done, which leaves our Martian Invader, which we're going to be doing next. We're going to be making a mold on that, and that takes care of all the sculpted stuff. It's really cool. Well, everyone, I want to take this time to thank some people. So this is our little thank you section. First of all, I want to thank my old school buddy. Now, this is a guy that I have known since high school. In fact, we used to race cars together illegally on the streets. We had TR3s. That's how we met one day. I think I almost ran into him or something. His name is Tony Freebird, and he's a lifelong friend, and he sent me this book, which I think is really pretty neat. I've never even seen this book. And I'm kind of getting back into Star Wars, so it's kind of neat that you sent me this, Tony. Thank you so very much. I also want to thank everyone on my Facebook page and across the internet for all your kind messages and emails regarding the passing of my mother. It was greatly, greatly appreciated. And as always, it helps one's soul a great deal to know that they have so many friends and so much support from a family unique in itself. Thank you so much. Remember this? It's finished, and it's time to make a mold. Now you can see that I've added eyelids, and I've filled inside the mouth so that it's not a big hole in there, which later will become apparent why I did that for the core. You can see he's done on the back now, pretty much finished all the way. I didn't finish it all the way, perhaps maybe the way I should have, but you don't see the back of the head because of the way it's in the costume, not unless I knock the helmet off. And even if I did do that, it's still plenty fine on the back side. So we're going to mold this now. We're going to lay up the clay as you've seen me do before, and we're going to cast up the first half of this. Now keep in mind, this is going to have a core done in it too, which you'll learn more about as we proceed with this process. We got ourselves our basic clay line laid up, and we're ready to start taking some ultra cowl right there and placing it on this. We don't have to worry about undercuts because it's solid clay with a small, tiny, thin little armature underneath. Although it does become an interesting problem once I do the core, but I'm going to keep the neck pretty thick, so there won't be anything there, and the core will be pretty slight, well not slight, but thickish back here, but thin on the face where I need to get all the movement. So I'm going to do the Ultra Cowl 30 on this, but you've seen all these steps before. I've just showed you how many times in this video, so basically I'm going to show you this mold when it's finished. Okay, so I'm going to do side 2 now. So we have side 1, I'm going to do side 2, and you know the routine because you've seen this before, but we're just making a 2-piece mold, and I'm going to do the second side, which I'm not going to show you, but I'll show you the mold when it's all done, and I'll show you when it comes apart, and I'll definitely show you when we make that core, which won't be today. Second half of the mold is done. We'll open this up in a minute, but let's run upstairs really quick and see what Mary's doing. What's Mary's doing? What's Mary doing?
Getting ready to go home.
Getting ready to go home. You're not going anywhere. You were working on a BF 109? Oh no, you're working on the cape.
Yeah. I got the
And it's beautiful.
I got the rolled hem done.
This collar is going to be up there like that. The cowl goes over the collar, but I wanted a collar on there because it gives it more strength. You can see the beautiful hemming work that she's been doing to get this all nice. This is really a nice cape, and it hangs well, it moves well. We picked this material out together. It's a very thin, what do you call this material? Pleather. But look how well it hangs, and it's super light. We looked at some other stuff that was a lot heavier, and I think this is the better way to go. It's cut to fit over the shoulders just right, really nice, and it can be folded back as well. I think it's really, really cool. And it's big too, so big I have to get all the way back here and I still can't see it all. There. I turned the camera sideways.
Did you really do that?
Yes, I did.
You silly man.
Well, it works. I can show all of you. I can show,
No.
but it puts everybody sideways. But that's okay.
Do that way.
Hey,
People don't
Steve's
like
at the
to see my
camera.
head.
Steve's at the camera. Look out. Okay, Rosie, do you want to go for a walk?
Walk.
Walk. Okay. And there we go. It's all together. It fit back together just beautifully. I still have to rasp the edges some more and clean up the molds. But this is going to be just fine for what I need. Really, Sulu? Well, it's been a great week, and you got to learn how to make molds, didn't you? You didn't see that coming. That was a lot of mold making. In fact, since last Friday, we made my Batman cowl mold. Plus, don't forget we had to finish the sculpture. And the same thing with Belle's. We finished her sculpture, made her mold, took them all apart, cleaned them up. Then we had to lay up, as you saw how I did it, the 4 ears, or the 2 pairs of ears, and make molds of those, both silicone and then the stone jackets. And we did the Martian sculpture. and finished that off and made a two-piece mold in that. That next week we will core, so you can see how the core is made. And the reason that the core is made is so that we get an evenly thin skin that's very flexible out of silicone to be able to hook up our servos to and our cable pulls to make the face move on it, which is what we're going to be doing next week. So this is exciting stuff. We're moving forward to getting our movie going, and once we have everything in place, we'll be able to do that. So be sure to check back next week, subscribe to our channel, and learn more about how you make creatures, monsters, props, aliens, costumes, and everything else under the sun that we do here. Have a great weekend.